Okay, we'll just go ahead and get started here. So, this is the Trailblazing Entrepreneur Alliance group leaders here with JMJ Business Strategies, and we're doing our networking call. We do this every other week on Tuesday. It would be 8:30 Eastern time, 10:30 Central, and 11:30 Eastern time. So, we're here today. So the way we do this usually is we have a little bit of education, and then we do a little bit of networking, and all that means is that we go around the horn introducing our businesses, and hopefully this grows into a larger call so that we can all have a place to go, that we're comfortable knowing that we're going to meet new people all the time. That would be a wonderful thing. But this is a new group, so it's small, just like every business when you first start up. So yeah, we'll go around the horn and introduce each other. Our educational topic today is going to be work-life balance. We'll go around. We'll let Jason introduce himself first, since he's the guest.
Oh,
You wouldn't
okay.
mind?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Jason. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Imperium Electronics, and we're developing a revolutionary new home improvement product. It's a device that can transform your standard, boring mechanical deadbolt into a keyless electronic lock without any tools. Just imagine being able to just put it on there on your deadbolt as it is, where the handle, fits over the handle, just as it is, without even needing to pick up a screwdriver. How about that? And then you can lock and unlock with a push of a button, just from a standard key fob, like you would with a standard car, those old style car key fobs. One button to lock, another button to unlock. Simple, easy. You can install it in less than 5 minutes.
And how
That's
do
awesome. I
people?
think a lot of
Oh,
people who, sorry, JJ. I think we both were real excited to go in on that.
yeah, for sure. Well, I'm just curious. How do we get? I think you might have put it in the chat here, but if you wouldn't mind verbalizing it, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, they can check out our website at Saberlock, SABRELOCK.com. And they can also reach me directly at jason.plankers@imperium-electronics.com.
I think this is great too. I think about, being, a self and a DIY, which sometimes I shouldn't even go down that route. But I'm always, I want to change locks and get into like the things I probably shouldn't have. But I like this because there are even, those individuals with, let's say, disability or elderly or somebody who doesn't have that, interest or understanding of taking things apart and putting them back. This is a really great option. I'm actually looking at your website right now. I think this is great, and thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, we're looking for funding so that this way we can get the product production ready, and we're also looking for licensing partners that can help us bring it to market and put it on a shelf in a store near you.
Very cool.
Awesome.
That is
Awesome.
great.
Well,
I think this
yeah.
should be on a Lowe's shelf or a
Oh,
For
absolutely.
Depot
real.
shelf
Lowe's,
everywhere.
Lowe's, Ace,
Yes.
Home Depot, local mom and pop hardware store would be a great fit for all of them. It's a
Yeah.
unique product. There's
Yes.
nothing like it.
No, there's not. No,
Oh.
coming from a guy who, after he retired from the military, used to work at Lowe's, I would always try to show people around all the products over there, by the way, knowing very little about those products. And and there, I wish there was something like this, because that just makes everyone's life a heck of a lot easier.
That's the point. That's what we wanted to accomplish. And it also adds security too,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
by preventing the usage of keys externally, this way if you got this rogue key copy out there somewhere, it doesn't matter because it's gonna you need like a torque wrench to torque it open, to crack it open, to dislodge it. So lockpicks will no longer work against it.
Holy cow.
In
That's
today's
amazing.
world, a lot of security, and breaches, and in technology, and as we know, it's always been home invasions and those types of things. So knowing that the security is behind it, yeah, I wish you luck. I think this is a great
Yeah,
product.
this is amazing.
Absolutely.
It is.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing.
And we haven't really done this before, but we should all probably go around the horn here and introduce ourselves too. You want to start, Jessica?
Yeah, I'm Jessica Kovacs. I'm part of this team. I think this is we have a really good time, whether it's on these types of calls or off, just finding ways of, working for you and, coming together as a team, creating a networking event. This is something that is a passion of all of ours. That's why we're here. Just bringing in the community and working together, finding new people just like Jason, and learning about the products that you're all putting out there in the world. So very exciting. I'm an HR consultant, and I do see my name is on here, and I apologize for this group because I will change that here. But yeah, just really happy to be a part of this company and team to help network. But if you have any HR needs, I am more than happy to have a free call to discuss those with you.
Well,
Next.
thank you.
Go ahead, MK.
Okay. I'm MK. I am a brand strategist specialist and graphic designer. I love helping businesses get their story out there. And like Jessica said, I'm super excited to like learn and grow all of our businesses together.
Well, I am JJ Hardy. I'm a retired Army warrant officer, and I am a leadership development trainer and coach. And then I also help small to medium-sized growing businesses with their strategy. And I'm here as part of this team. We all formed a business to kind of create a community. We're starting with just a networking group, but it's going to be an awesome time because we have great things planned for the future, and it's all about bringing people together and having a community around ideas and providing support. So I think we'll go on to our topic for the day, which is work-life balance. We're going to sum it up with 3 categories here. So that's prioritization and goal setting, time management, and boundaries. So I can go ahead and start. And when it comes to goal setting and prioritization, the first thing that comes to mind for me is, always keeping the end in mind. When you're setting a goal, it's just like when you're starting a business. You have to have a vision of what you want to accomplish. And so when you're setting that goal, if you're not 100% clear on that, it's going to make it very difficult to bring together all those tasks that are going to be able to accomplish that end state. And when it comes to prioritization, it's going to be even harder. So make sure you understand that end goal. But I believe in backwards planning. And so the end is the most important thing there, because how are you going to build the path to the end without the ultimate vision being clear? Now, once you establish that, listing everything that you could possibly do to accomplish that end goal, and that's where the prioritizing comes in, is the next step is figuring out what the most important thing, or sometimes the most actionable thing, is to get that done. And the way that works in work-life balance is because we don't understand necessarily, how to organize our week, especially as a small business or a solopreneur or even an entrepreneur if you have a team. And doing that you can basically organize your week. And that priority is what's going to come first at the beginning of the week. And it could be how you organize your schedule. And that kind of leads into time management. Does somebody else want to take that one? If not, I can keep on rambling.
Yeah. So I wanted to say one thing. One thing that I like to do with goals too, like JJ said, is like have that end goal in mind, but also to create little goals so that it doesn't seem so unreachable to get to that big goal. And then you have something to celebrate along the way, which I think is really important, because you made the steps to create the idea, especially in business. Like, it's such a hard thing to get to the end goal, whatever it is, whether it's a product or whether it's a group or whatever. So creating those small, tangible, like actionable goals that you can actually reach little bits at a time can help you like pump you up to get to the end goal. And as far as time management goes, I think having your goal in mind and kind of arranging your week and your priorities by that is important. I think that everyone has to find a schedule that works for them. I'm a mom of 2 kids, and so I'm constantly running around, and I have 2 businesses, which is a lot. So, being able to map out my week in block time spans helps me, but I feel like everyone's schedule is slightly different. But it is important, I think, to sit down on a day, whether it's a Sunday or a weekend, not on a work week, to create your week. And I mean, everyone's week, color code it, get involved, like, so that way you have a full on schedule. And even though I think sometimes it's more dangerous when you own your own business because you can be flexible in your schedule. So I think it's even more important for us to like really lay out our days like this to this time is when I'm going to be doing this, but also scheduling in that self-care and that rest and downtime every day. Because it is easy as a business owner, an entrepreneur, any kind of person with any kind of goal, to get burnt out, like super easy. So like I start my day, I need to drink coffee because I am a coffee fiend. I just want a hot cup before I start my day. And I do that. I block it in. It is in my schedule. As silly as it is, even the smallest things need to go in your schedule because then I know by 7 o'clock I have to do this. By 10 o'clock I need to do this. But I also have I'm working out at this point. And it kind of goes into boundaries. Boundaries kind of weave into this, in my opinion. Like I know that I'm not going to do meetings between this time and this time because this is my time to work out because that's a priority of mine. And I'm not going to ever be flexible on that. That's like a no-go. And I also know that when my kids get home, that's also a time when I'm not doing meetings. It's a no-go for me. So I think it's really important to have those boundaries and those non-negotiables because when you start answering emails at 2 a.m., your customers and clients are going to continue expecting you to always be on call for them, and that leads to burnout. So that's like my biggest spiel is like sitting down and really getting into mapping out your week. Whether you have a ginormous calendar, whether you have a planner, whether you use an app, doesn't matter, but plan it out like hour by hour. Everyone can do it differently. I am old school. I like to have a written down calendar that's color coded, but like do what works for you. But I think that's
Color-coded.
really important.
That I could see you color coding everything.
Oh yeah.
Jason, it
All
looked
the
like you might have had
colors.
a comment before. Did you have something to say about that too?
No, I just I agree. I mean, it's burnout is always a real danger, and especially when you're trying to do your own thing, that can make it worse because then the dream turns into a nightmare, and that's something
Yes.
you don't really want. So yeah, it's just finding the balance between, serving the people you're supposed to be serving on one hand, but also not killing yourself on the other hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
think that
definitely
comes
don't
into
want to have your
context
business
too.
running you.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I think it comes into play as well as so a couple things that both all of you have triggered for me is one is as you're writing down those goals for the week, making sure that you're putting on, and we've said this in the past, I know we've had a call in this, write down those goals, write down those whether it was a yes, we made it, I did that, or I learned this from this. Because at the end of the year, when you're recapping, you're going to forget all those little goals. And when you write them down and you look at the big picture after a year's worth of working hard, you're thinking, oh, what did I do this year? But if you're looking at those goals, you're like, wow, like, look how far I've come. That is super important. It's a mind concept that will help you move forward. Another thing is with work-life balance is if you're overloaded, is it time to hire? And that may be a 1099, that may be a part-time person, that might be a W-2 full-time staff. But you have to say to yourself, at what point is my time getting too invested in this? That you have to start delegating. And it's okay to delegate. That's, you went into this business for a great idea, and having the ability to make your own decisions and to do your own things. You didn't do this to get rid of your own life, because otherwise you'd probably go back to a full-time job and, you know, work more hours than you need to be working and still be in the same position. I think it's just really important that you take the time to say what is important to me. Not only just the weekly goals, because that's super important, but at what point do I make changes within the business to help me get to where I need to be?
Yeah.
I completely agree. And in addition to that, you know, you wrote down when to hire. I think that's a whole other topic in itself. My
It
Yeah,
is.
goodness.
definitely.
You know, there are so many variables that play into that. You know, do you have the money to do it right now? Do you need to? I like what you brought up. Does it need to be a 1099 or a W-2, or do you need to just go and hire somebody as a service to do it? You know, all those things are such a big deal. We could make probably a 30 to 45
And
minute
we
topic.
Well, we've talked about, you know, adding that as a topic in the future. And I think that is
Yeah.
something that, you know, eventually we do need to put on the plate, because that's an important piece. And, you know,
Yeah.
there are times where I'm, you know, I can't have a full-time employee right now. I had one, life changes. She moved on, which is great. She still helps in some capacity of the business, but it's not she's doing the work anymore. So I'm doing the work in the business, and that's okay. That's changed. But there's definitely, at that time, I needed someone to be able to help me support this business, because this is very important to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
I like what
talk
you
about,
brought up about like pivoting. Like
yeah,
life changes, business changes, and at some points you may be able to do certain things and extend yourself to a certain degree, and then other times you can't.
yeah,
And just being very self-aware is really important to your planning, I think.
yeah. Jason, how do you manage the work-life balance? I mean, you're creating products, you're trying to get funding and all the things. I can
Yeah,
imagine
that's a lot.
how incredibly busy and captivated you are by the business. So tell us about how you do it.
Well, it's especially challenging, you know, because we have some funding, but it's not enough to pay a salary. So I do have to work a full-time day job on top of this. So it's definitely not easy.
Yep.
Looking to change that, hopefully in the near future. But you know, really what it is, you know, you just set aside, you know, fortunately my day job allows, you know, gives me 3 days off. So, you know, I have just one day where I can, for the most part, just set it aside and say, okay, I'm going to attend to my personal things on this day. And then the other days, you know, blend that in as much as possible, you know, then on other days, you know, get things moving, have meetings and networking events like this, on those other days there.
That's
Yeah.
interesting how you make that work while you're still working a full-time job. That's commendable. I
Well,
was
Yeah.
doing I was doing a little bit of that before I started my leadership training and coaching business, but I found
mm,
that I needed to take that eventually I needed to take that leap, otherwise it wasn't going to happen. I needed a lot
yeah.
more time.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been easy, that's for sure. But you know, I also haven't been alone in this. You know, like I do have a co-founder here who's been very fantastic and has done so much. We would not be here without him.
Well,
Awesome.
and the product that you have is we kind of went into a tangent about your product and how great that would be for a lot of people before the call got started recording. But you know, what a great product to get out into the world. And I hope you have like an entire distribution plan and stuff like that. Cause I think when you get in front of the right people, you're
Mhm.
going to have,
There's two ways to market. We could go ourselves, and we do have plans for that. We've looked at, you know, what the margins would look like, what the pricing needs to be, and those type where to produce it, things like that. So we do have that plan. But with a licensing partner, you know, who can make those products and distribute it for, you know, who can make it and
mm,
market it and distribute it for us,
Yeah.
that would allow us to go to market a lot faster. And also we wouldn't need as much investment to get to
Yeah.
that point. We would not need nearly as much. You know, so that's definitely the preferred option. Then it's just a question of meeting the right people to
sure.
make that
Mhm.
happen.
I think
Yeah.
that, you know, the investment side of things, you know, is another piece of that puzzle. You know, what do you invest in, and where do you put your money where it's, you've got every aspect that's important. When you're looking at, a team for production, or a team for grants, a team for media, digital content. I mean, there's so many pieces that are, important to the business. And it's making the decision of, when is it right to add that in? Because that creates a stress and more work on your side, which again feeds into that work-life balance.
Mhm.
So it's that prioritization as well on who to invest in and when for your business. And that's not always a clear-cut decision. What comes first, the chicken or the egg, in my opinion. It's
Right.
definitely one of those types of topics.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah,
True.
yeah,
Very, very true.
yeah.
So
So how do you prioritize? I think that's another thing. I mean, what do you prioritize as being, um when everything seems to be a priority? How do you prioritize?
Well, that's a great question. It's just a question. So that starts with, well, what do we need right now?
Mhm.
Like right this minute, what do we absolutely have to get this to the next step?
Yep.
I love that. And I know
Oops.
talking to a lot of other people, I'm a coach for my primary business. And so I think another thing that comes up a lot, and maybe not for you at the point that you're at in your business, but what's the most actionable? Sometimes what's most important is not always the most actionable. And so it's always a balance to try to figure that out. And when it comes to priorities, sometimes you get stuck,
Mhm.
and it doesn't really matter what the next step is. Sometimes it's just making small steps towards the target is what the most important thing would be as far as an action step. But you're right, the biggest things sometimes aren't always the most actionable things.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you just start with that, and then it's like, okay, so like, I have this that has to get done now. We need to do this right now, so we focus on that, and then it's as I have an opportunity, these other things for further down the line. So it's just prioritization in that regard.
I think if you're by yourself too, one nice thing is, sometimes with co-founders, and, the three of us can feed off of each other for this business, but when it's our own individual business, there's not always the right, what somebody to go to. But again, creating that village, creating the networking, like this, and whether it's this or something else, creating the village that fits for you, your dynamics of the business, and running it by someone. Heck, get on a call like this and say, listen, I have a topic I want to talk about. How do I make these decisions? Because trust me, what you're going through, we're all going through or have gone through. And, we all have lessons we can teach each other. I've only been in business for, well, it'll be 2 years coming up. And I I have a lot of experiences to talk about and can teach
Yeah,
you that hopefully you wouldn't make the same mistakes or go down the same path I would. And I can guarantee each of us could say the exact same thing.
that's true.
So
But
creating that village is really important.
well, and that's true, but it's almost like the same thing with kids, right? Sometimes people need to learn and make mistakes on their own. But I think that especially if you're in the coaching and consulting world, learning those best practices from other people that are in similar fields is very, very important. And that's when I'd like to put a plug in for what we're trying to do here, because we are trying to build that community, and I want to tell everybody where to find that. So we just started a we started a LinkedIn group just recently. It's called the Trailblazing Entrepreneur Alliance. And we also have a community on Facebook. It's called the same thing, Trailblazing Entrepreneur Alliance. That's why we call this called the Tea Time Networking Session, because it's Trailblazing Entrepreneur Alliance. It's clever, maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
We
We thought
think
it
it's
was.
clever.
But at the end of the day, as many people as we can get in those groups, building a village, not necessarily just for us, but for everybody else, because we're not going to allow spammy people to be in there. If you just want to go in there and advertise yourself like crazy, guess what? You're not going to find yourself in that community very long. because we want to bring people together to help one another, not to, well, I like to call it pitch slap. So we're not going to have a bunch of pitch slapping going on in that group. And it's just a supportive community. Jason, we encourage you to join that on one or both platforms, just to see if once it grows, if maybe you could help other people or maybe receive some assistance yourself.
And just as a side note to JJ's point, you know, the idea of the pitch slapping is that, you know, a lot of the communities that I'm in, especially, and I know we can all agree, it's a lot of, here's my business, come talk to me. Here's my business, come talk to me. Well, we want to give the opportunity for everybody to explain your business and provide your experiences and everything about it. We want you to share what your business is for, and the products you're providing or services. But we want to do it in a way of building the community rather than just an advertising platform.
Right.
We want to give you the opportunity to share, and you know, that's why we're here, right? But it's about building the community and the trust first while explaining your business and what you have to offer.
Yeah, I mean, community is it's a great way to learn and bounce ideas off of people who are not in your industry. I think I know in my time of owning businesses and being involved, I have learned the most from people not in my industry, because they can look at what I'm doing from a new perspective. And that's why I think it's important, kind of circling back to our topic at hand, which is like time management and really like setting those boundaries. You know, it's important in general to just be self-aware of what you can handle, what you can't, and also just to put in time, not just for self-care, but also for this community building, networking, and adding that to your schedule too. Because I know in my time of being a business owner, it is probably the biggest thing that gets pushed to the side and is like one of the most important things to do really, is to create those connections and communities. And I always put that last, when it really should be first, because that's what's going to bring value. Because when you make those connections, I might not be able to help you, but I might know someone who can, and you might know someone who I can help, and vice versa. And so I feel like that's like such a valuable relationship to create. So I know for me, my new priority this year is to put that on my schedule because it hasn't been. So it's just like those things, again, getting to the end goal.
Yep.
Agreed. So that's pretty much our whole topic for the week. We try to keep it short and sweet, between 15 and 20 minutes. But when we have additional people here, we like to turn it into a conversation, and we want to grow this group. So Jason, please invite other people to join. If you decide to come in a couple of weeks, hopefully you do. Your business is a great one to kind of showcase, and I'm sure you have a lot of lessons learned that you can share with some other people.
That's one way of putting it. Yeah.
Well, you know, they say management is like the position itself is like running around with your hair on fire on a bicycle that's also on fire. But what is entrepreneurship? I don't know if there's a way to describe that. I think it's even worse.
Goodness. Yeah.
So no, but it's a good thing. Anybody who takes the time to plan out their business, move forward with it, and not give up on it, it's the type of person that I want to meet personally. So I did send you a connection request. I hope we can at least keep you in our network if you don't join on these calls, but please do.
Oh, definitely.
And invite as
Jason,
many
if there's-
people as you can.
Jason, and really anyone you know, watching this, of course, if there are any topics that you'd like to see in the future or things you'd like us to, you know, provide education or just a discussion around, feel free to send us a message, post it on Facebook or, you know, in the chat. Any way of getting it to us, we'll absolutely consider putting those out there. We want to make sure that this is really giving you the content that is going to continue to bring you know, interest to the group. So if it means something to you, let us know and we'll make sure to add it.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining. We really
Yeah.
appreciate meeting you and really do hope to see you again. hope you got something out of this call, and we
Mhm.
really appreciate learning about you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself, Jason.
Have a
Thanks.
good
Thank you
one.
for coming.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.